Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Look away, look away, look away, look away. The show will wreck your evening, your whole life and your day. Every single episode is nothing but dismay. So look away, look away, look away.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
So it's been a long time since we've recorded, but there's been quite a lot of TV on. So much so, in fact, that I actually caved in and subscribed to Now TV.
Good Lord.
So I just thought I'd try their 2-week trial because Fortitude, the new season of Fortitude, just started. And the only reason I did it was because on Facebook today, Daryl announced that he'd finished season 2.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was just like, yeah, and I was like, finished it?
I didn't even know it dropped.
Yeah, so this is obviously like Sky are doing some sort of box set thing. And I don't subscribe to Sky. I'm not in control of the TV subscription arrangement here. So I've been happy to be cordless like Netflix. Recently did Amazon Prime as well over Christmas because I had a bit of money, and now I've gone and done a trial for Now TV. But that's like a legit way of watching Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, and also I believe because you get Fox with that, so you get you can watch the new Legion show that starts next week.
Yes. Oh, is it next week?
Yeah, that starts, and that's been getting great reviews. So. Yeah, I've only watched like 1.5 episodes of Fortitude so far. Have to say, not very impressed with the app. I tried at lunchtime today to get it to work on my computer at work, just to sort of see what it was like.
Yeah. And
I tried just getting it working in the browser, and it uses Silverlight.
Oh my God!
Firefox and which Firefox and Chrome no longer support. Edge. Microsoft Edge doesn't support it, and Silverlight is Microsoft's product.
Okay.
It's this bad and out of date. And the only way you can get it to work is by installing Internet Explorer, which I just refuse to do. So I ended up, it's like, I went on the wiki and it just said, yeah, we recommend you use the app. So I put the app on. But yeah, there's no downloading. You can't do that. Even Channel 4 and ITV app allow you to download TV to your device. But no, none of that for the Now TV thing. It really does seem, as some people commented on Facebook when I was ranting about it earlier, like it's like Sky's back door. Like, well, it's not even their back door. It's like their basement, where they literally, the only reason it exists is because they realise they've got a few shows that people like me are not going to cough up a whole subscription for, and it's just their way of getting a bit of cash out of the likes of me. So yeah, I don't know. It's $6.99. I think I'll have it on while there's stuff to watch on it, but I think there's going to be a bit of a wait for Game of Thrones this year, so I don't anticipate having a Now TV subscription all year long.
Is it easy to kind of, do you subscribe? Can you just like turn it on and off like per month?
You have like passes.
Okay.
They have made that actually mercifully usable, because they have like passes that you can just sort of deactivate them. So
I was going to say, if you're only buying it for Game of Thrones, which a lot of people did, it's only on for about a third of the year, or 6 weeks, 10 weeks of the year.
Well, yeah, and these are going to be, and they're going to be extra short seasons as well. So
fair enough.
Yeah, so
it's shocking to hear that it's still using Silverlight though, because that's
it's ridiculous, and they've got no plans to update it or anything.
That's terrible.
But yeah, and the app like only lets you use it full screen as well. Like there's no way to minimise it. It's really horrible. But I've got it. It lets you have it on 4 devices. So I've got it on my work PC, my phone, and my PlayStation downstairs, and on my computer up here. So I tried to watch some Fortitude on the train because I've only got 4 days left on my data plan.
Yeah.
And I've still got 2 gig left, so I thought, fuck it, I'll rinse this while I can. But halfway home, it spotted out and started buffering, so I was like, fuck it, and put Netflix back on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've got to say, I'm loving the Netflix offline mode. Now that now that they've changed it so you can download to SD cards. Oh, sweet merciful Christmas.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I now have like I put in a 60 gig SD card in my phone. So I now have probably about, 53 gigs, probably about 40 gig or so left. So you can choose where you download it. You can now, yeah. Update your app, dude.
Well, I'm an iPhone user, so I
don't think it will matter too much, but yeah, if it auto updates, go into your app settings and scroll down to I think app settings, and if you scroll down through it, it should show you how much your internal memory is and how much your SD card, if you've got one or whatever.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. That's not an iPhone thing.
But if you've got a massive amount of storage anyway, yeah. Problem was the Android phones or Samsung ones, you only had about 16 gig internal, and that was used up by apps and all the bloatware. Yeah,
I know for a fact that Netflix have done some clever things with their compression to make those files as small as possible. Yeah. So they're not very big. I mean, I think I downloaded season 1 of Travellers, and it was 2 gig for 12 episodes.
Yeah, you've got 2 options as well. You can choose the size of file size, which on a screen, on a phone screen, you don't need the higher quality one. Because I was watching a few episodes, I was downloading some sort of Japanese animated shows from like the 90s that I used to love, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm loving this. Sitting in the cafe at lunchtime, just watching stuff from my past, thinking this is amazing.
Cool. Well, let's talk about some shows then, after talking about around it. I've only watched the first episode of Fortitude, so I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, I'm surprised that they've dumped that all at once. I think it's to get around piracy. Let's just say I bought an LTV
I think it might be the pacing, because from what I recall, it's very Scandi pacing, as in it takes its time. It's very measured.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to do it, because it's one case, and I found it quite irritating to watch week to week. Actually, I think I might have piled it all up in the end for season 1, but yeah. Okay, I've watched a shitload. As I mentioned earlier, I've got a a 2-hour commute these days, so I'm getting through quite a lot. Especially now that you can download Netflix as well. So I'm getting through quite a lot of TV. But I'll mention probably the best thing I've seen this year so far, which is currently airing on Sky Atlantic, is a show called Quarry.
Okay.
And this was shown on Cinemax in the States, and it's directed by the chap who did Banshee, Greg Yanantes. So it's got a very similar feel to that show, but this is a period show. It's set in the early 70s, and it's about a disillusioned Vietnam War vet who basically comes back. There's been some bad stuff that he was involved in while he was over there. He's actually on his second tour, so he volunteered to go back. And he then gets approached by this shady chap who ends up who proposes, offers him a job as a hitman, and initially he refuses, but his friend, who's got a whole family to provide for, he ends up going for it, and then he ends up getting tangled into it anyway. And yeah, it's really, really cool. Some very insane action sequences. There's some great one shots where they've obviously had to do it all in one take, and there's explosions going off and all kinds of madness.
I was going to say, it sounds like an American show or anything, but you said explosions.
Oh, definitely.
I'm like, yep,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So if you, I definitely recommend it to anyone who is missing Banshee. It's definitely got that kind of quality to it. It's also got some cool people in it from other shows. Damon Herriman, he played. His most famous role was probably in Justified. He played Dewey Crow in that show, who was a bit of a half-wit. In this, he's playing a homosexual psychopath, pretty much. Weapons dealer.
Way to balance your sheet of acting traits, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, yeah, it's a cool cast. Peter Mullen plays the shady broker. He's a Scottish guy, but he's putting on a very convincing Southern drawl in this. It's all set in New Orleans, by the way, all around that sort of area. So this was catnip for John. As soon as I mentioned to it, he was like, "Yeah, watched all of Quarry." So yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, check it
out.
I
have to check that out, actually. I'm always on the lookout for new sort of shows that I can come home from work and just escape. I think that's probably why I get sucked into some of the network stuff, because it is literally, in that case though, I'm literally having my face pulled into the screen, kicking and screaming. Yeah. But it's just a nice escape from, the world.
Yeah, well,
just
definitely.
Laughing or wincing at other people's problems for like an hour or 45 minutes or whatever. And you just think, that's quite nice.
Well, that's it. There's no shortage of it. What have you been wincing at then?
Well, I've started watching a show on Netflix called Frontier, which I randomly picked up. It literally just screamed in my face at Netflix. They got the big banners at the top, and we just clicked on it because she the missus went, "Oh, that's Khal Drogo," and I went, "Yeah, that's Aquaman." And between us, we both agreed to start watching this, starring Jason Momoa. That's his name. Yeah. Oh, it is a little brutal. It's all about the fur trade in sort of North America, back in sort of, I think it's post-Civil War era.
Yeah, it's like Revenant territory, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. It's really weird. You're not sure what to make of it. It starts off as a very, you think, Irish theme, and then it kind of carries on, and that quickly kind of stops. Because I was getting shades of Billy Piper in, God, what was that show where she was the Irish girl?
Penny Dreadful.
Yeah, Penny Dreadful. I was thinking, oh God, are they all going to be doing accents like that? But then it kind of became its own thing quite quickly, and it just gave me hints of bad English company men and stuff, or all this, the almost like, we're a part of this company, we control the fur trade, we don't like this guy, we're going to find him and kill him. And I'm like, it's like every other sort of American Civil War era sort of show where all the English are the bad guys, but there's some really bad guys. And it just, I don't know, it just seemed to tick some boxes with me, so it kept me watching for a bit. I've only seen about, I think, 4 episodes so far.
Yeah, I think there's only 6.
Is there? Oh, apparently. Wow. Okay, yeah. So I'm most of the way through it, without realising it.
It's quite a short run for an for an American show like this.
It is a little brutal though.
Yeah.
I was kind of off doing sort of stuff when one of them was playing in the background, so I quickly put the subs on, and it kind of just because I'm off in the background sort of washing something up, and the sound cuts out a little bit, and I'm seeing things come up like squelching, gutting sounds, crying, and I'm like, lovely. But it I don't know, I think it's one of those okay shows. It's not an absolute stunner, I don't think, but it by no means is it absolutely terrible. But I think the setting and everything around it just makes it a little bit different. It's all snow-covered areas and stuff, in log cabins, and you've got treacherous sea and all this sort of, the typical themes of the era. And you've got a small cast. So I'm curious where it goes. At the moment, it's just about this guy, and he is literally like ye oldie Davy Crockett, Luke Cage. It's just everyone's scared of him. He just on the picture, he just has like 2 axes, and you kind of think, well, that doesn't always match up to the show. But he spends his whole time just intimidating people and gutting people. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, I saw him throwing axes around on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
They were all having a go, but they weren't hitting them hard enough for them to actually stay in the block of wood.
Okay.
Not even a lot of the ones he was throwing, actually.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I guess he's throwing a few axes in this show.
Yeah, there's a few. But I'd say it's definitely, if you do manage to get through your pile of stuff, or there's a lull between shows, it's definitely a quick one to pick up and have a quick watch.
Oh, I would destroy that in a couple of days, probably.
Yeah, I probably would. No, it's only 6 parts.
Yeah. I've been watching a period thing on the good old BBC.
Oh.
Don't you know? It's called Taboo. And this it stars Tom Hardy. About halfway through the run of it now. I've been watching it on iPlayer. and it concerns Tom Hardy's character is James Delaney, comes back to London from Africa. He's been away for some time, and he comes back to London to claim his inheritance. His father has died, leaving him a piece of land that the East India Company dearly want, because in order to sort of complete like a trade line or something. So he won't give it to them.
The return of evil company men. It's a theme.
Yeah. So they send people after him and all this sort of thing. And meanwhile, he's got dodgy mates who are all tattooed up that are like sort of urchins. And it's done by the people that did Peaky Blinders. So it's got a very gritty, grungy sort of aesthetic to it. The girl from the Bourne Identity, she shows up as a and
but the Czech, is it she's Czech? The Czech actress,
she's
I think.
German. I thought she was German.
Potente? I think that was her
That's
name.
it.
Yeah,
yeah, that's very
cool.
good knowledge.
It's
Yeah,
nice to see she's still
Helga.
working.
Yeah, Scroobius Pip's in there as well.
Oh wow!
As a sort of a side character, but I think the real sort of star of the show really is Jonathan Pryce. He's on absolute sweary form.
Brilliant.
Of course, last time we saw him playing the Septim in Game of Thrones, and he's you know, fucking kill him, you know, and it seems really like out of place when it's like in a period setting. Like it's just it's really quite. It makes it more impactful when they're saying the C word and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah. But yeah, there's quite a few familiar faces. It's a cool show. I'm not sure. The thing is, because he's been in Africa a while, he's picked up a bit of a voodoo thing.
Okay.
He's covered in big tattoos and stuff that you only get a slight glimpse of. But I imagine he'll be like half naked, going completely crazy by the end of it. The last episode, he disemboweled someone.
Wow.
There was a moment where he bit someone's like neck off and. Yeah, it's pretty savage stuff.
Add that to the list.
but yeah, it's everything you would expect from like a Tom Hardy joint, I suppose. Yeah. Anything else you've been watching?
Well, speaking of a Netflix run, we saw the show of Lemony Snicket.
Oh yeah, I watched that too.
But before watching it, we realised we hadn't actually seen the original film.
Oh right,
the 2004 film. So we watched that, and then we watched the first episode of it.
Yes. See, I almost did that because for some reason, that was coming up at the top of my Netflix, and so I thought that was the new one. And then I started watching it, and I was like, "Hang on, this isn't the new thing. This is the film with Jim Carrey, which I saw years ago and cannot remember a thing about." Although, from what I remember, I think there's like 12 novels in the series. I think I did have a little wiki one night when I was watching it, and I think the film took a few of those randomly, or like 2 or 3 of them, and I can't remember which ones it was. I think it was a couple of the like what is in this run, but the Netflix show is slavishly sticking to the book series, and they're doing they're doing like this series is 4 books, and each one takes place across 2 episodes. So they're almost like they've devoted an entire film running length to each book.
Nice.
Have you watched all of it?
No. I've literally just seen the first episode.
Half of the first
it's very Burton-esque. Yeah, half of the first book.
Yeah.
I mean, the film we watched, we really enjoyed the film. Surprisingly, I didn't think I would. It was kind of crazy, completely bonkers, but just loved it by the end of it. So then we thought, okay, we'll start watching it, and it's got a slightly different vibe. I would say the film is despite Jim Carrey, it's Tim Burton sort of maybe more Batman, so more gothic Burton, sort of Sweeney Todd Burton, whereas the series is a bit more Edward Scissorhands, what's it called? Nightmare Before Christmas Burton. A bit sort of crazy, maybe even sort of Mars Attacks, sort of. It's a bit weird.
So
No, it's compared to the film, it's a different type of Burton. But I'm kind of enjoying it though. It's a bit weird, very surreal.
Yeah, it's Barry Sonnenfeld who directed it, who I think has something to do with Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
I think he might have written the musical. Don't quote me on that. This is deep knowledge here.
but the role of Count Olaf by Neil Patrick Harris, I gotta say, I'm loving that because I'm getting flashes of Dr. Horrible's sing along a blog, and I'm just thinking, oh my god, this guy is going to be amazing for this.
Right.
I'm not really a massive fan of the whole sort of musical genre. I don't mind it, but I just enjoy watching him on screen. He's just very weird and sort of.
It's about 5% musical, if that.
That's
the first episode has a big song in it.
Yeah.
There's a big song at the start that changes the lyrics to talk about what's happening in each episode a bit. And there's a bit of a number at the end of the last episode, but apart from that, it's not that musical.
Cool.
But it has that sensibility. I know what you're saying. You keep expecting Thingy to turn up any minute. Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
Like, she'd just slot right in there, you know.
Yeah.
It could be directed by Tim Burton, for all I know.
The judge, was that... oh, God, what's her name?
That's Joan Cusack.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? I thought so. 'Cause I was thinking, I've not seen her in anything like much since... the last thing I saw her in was probably Grosse Pointe Blank.
I think she's kind of in that horrible place where a lot of female actresses of that age are, where they can't get any work.
Yeah.
Unless they're Meryl Streep.
Yeah, which is terrible, because I think she was really good in that role.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you about Lemony Snicket is what... so in the film, does the film kick off pretty much like the show does?
Yeah, there's no tram. It literally starts with them on the beach getting the news.
Right.
You don't see the parents. I don't think you see them at all in the whole film. So I reckon the thing that's going to pad what we guessed, the thing that would pad the series out, is seeing more of what the parents got up to, which I don't know whether it was something in the books or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read the books.
No.
There's definitely... The thing is, the way that the show works is that these kids basically end up getting moved from one place to another because Count Olaf keeps trying to nick their money.
Yeah, he wants the inheritance, and he's trying to. Yeah, and he keeps turning up, and he just wants it, and he just wants them out of the way.
Yeah, in a cunning disguise.
Yeah,
like every time they get moved to another one.
Oh God! I've just realised if that's going to happen for as many episodes, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like I say, they're structured like in twos. So if I was you, I would try and watch, because I was watching one on the way to work, one on the way back.
Yeah.
So it was kind of worked out quite nicely. But they are very much like you do two at once.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But the thing is, I will say maybe break them up a bit, because I binged it, and it is very much like the same plot, every one of them.
Yeah.
You know, with slightly different wrinkles, different characters, but ultimately it's
very Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it's them two trying to work their way through a problem, and Count Olaf turning up with his goons, and them trying to screw them over, and it's a little bit Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and it's like he would have got away with it if it wasn't for the meddling kids kind of thing. It's like, it's Count Olaf. It's like
talking of Scooby-Doo. I've got a segue into another show that was recommended to me by Ian, and this one is called Travellers.
Okay.
And it's on Netflix, and somehow it managed to time travel its way through a wormhole that avoided Metacritic completely. So I couldn't... My algorithm for watching shows just busted, and I didn't know what to do, because I'd seen a couple of like good user reviews. Actually, now recently on Metacritic it does have 2 reviews that are both very positive. However, I think they're being a little generous. I didn't mind it. It's quite good. The basic setup is hundreds of years in the future, the world is fucked, and they have developed a technology that allows people to time travel back into people from the 21st century who are about to die. So what it does is it uses an algorithm based on social media and the expected time of when these people were going to die. But instead of dying, they go, and then it's like they're possessed by someone from the future.
So a really dark quantum leap on mass.
Yeah, so it's quite an interesting setup, and
cool.
it has some unexpected consequences, and they do kind of wring every kind of angle out of it. For example, one of the guys ends up going in. His host is a heroin addict, so they didn't realise he was so much of a junkie. So all of a sudden, this normal guy has now got to deal with being in a body that's addicted to drugs. And so that's got some interesting consequences. Another one of them moves into the body of a girl who's like simple, like can't talk, very backwards. And all of a sudden, she's turning up going, "Hi, how you doing?" to all her psychiatrists and that. And they're all like, "Oh my God, what the hell did you..." She's like, "Oh, I banged my head." And, you know, some of them like can do fighting and stuff. All this. One of them's in the FBI, so obviously he has the ultimate excuse to get into places, and they basically have to do these missions that ultimately will hopefully save, you know, the place they've come from.
Okay.
But meanwhile, the other wrinkle to this is they're not the only ones. That the 5 main characters aren't the only travellers. They're everywhere.
Oh, wow.
So you can end up in situations where it's like you think, "Oh no, that guy's in shit," but Traveller 3462 reporting, you know, and it's like, oh my God, which is cool in a way because it means the writers can kind of do whatever the fuck they like. There's always a way of writing them out of this mad situation. But it's quite a cheap show, you know. They're pretty good actors in it. But you know, this is quite an inexpensive show to make. There are moments where they've obviously spent a lot of their budget on building some mad machinery, and you know, there might be a large vehicular unfortunate event that results in a big explosion, but it's kind of like sub 24 levels of effects. Like it's a bit network, but
it's kind of like TV, I would say, TV level maybe. You know, if you're watching on
pretty
TV,
regular
it's
TV,
right.
yeah. But I think because it's like a Netflix original, we've all become a little bit conditioned to like Daredevil.
I don't know.
And
I've
stuff like that.
I've seen the petri dish be contaminated, so I'm okay with stuff being on a level that's lower. I'll just say, was it 2 words? Was it Helsing? Van Helsing?
Oh, right.
There's a show on there. Don't bother with it. It's, you want to see the bar be lowered. That's lowered. It makes the Shannara Chronicles look like an epic Lord of the Rings tale. And that was low.
But
anyway.
I'll tell you what, Netflix are getting hold of like quite a few of these sort of. They're either come from sci-fi and no one else wants them, or they're like a weird Canadian production sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great, and it's great that all that stuff's finding a home. But I was just really surprised. I think the reason it didn't get reviewed is because it came out like right over Christmas. But another show, and I will let you get one in a moment. But
no, that's cool.
It's very much like reminds me of my experience watching the OA. I don't know if you watched. Did you watch any of that one?
I watched the first episode. I didn't know what to make of it. I think we watched that and then we watched something else, which I'm sure we'll probably get onto in a moment. See, the first one really grabbed me because it kind of started off as like, you know, this girl's mystery, like jumped off a bridge. She's amnesia. She can see, so when she went missing 7 years ago, she was blind, and you know, all of a sudden she can see, and it turns out like she's adopted, but she comes from like this Russian oligarchy, and then all of a sudden it all went kind of fairy tale, and like reminded me a little bit of like The Fountain, like the imagery in that movie, and it just looked really cool, and then Jason Isaacs turns up as a villain. Oh wow!
And hello to Jason Isaacs.
Always.
And so I was quite intrigued, but you know what kind of followed is again like quite a low budget sci-fi premise with lots of really cool ideas, but like perhaps not with quite the production to follow through on it.
To be honest, I think things like Daredevil, you've got Marvel cracking the whip quite harshly, and they're you know, they're
well, they've got money.
Yeah, they've got money, but also you've got when you've got a license for things like that, you kind of have to work within a framework. You're not allowed to deviate because it impacts the view of the characters and stuff and the scenario. It's almost like working with Disney. Funny enough,
yeah.
So I would imagine you have to get it right. Whereas a lot of other shows, and I think it's great that Netflix are, as you're saying, picking up a lot of these other shows because it's making it more like a channel.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a subscription service, you know, like a movies on demand, essentially, you know. It's making it more like you'll feel as though you're watching an actual Netflix channel. You know, you've got tiers of stuff going on and you can just enjoy.
Yeah, I think it's more like a whole kind of thing like Sky, really, where you've got I think that early on there was like a precedent set for like the level of quality, but I think they want more and more content on there, and so the range and the quality of it is getting bigger and bigger. So you can't just. I don't think every show's a sure thing. So you know, you just. That's what review sites are for, in my opinion, to try and filter it all out. But and podcasts like this. So yeah, we've done quite a long time on TV now. Were there any shows you wanted to mention?
Yeah,
I mean, we can get to some next time. But
there's one particular one I wanted to mention, and it's Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's I watched all of this.
Was it Douglas Grant?
Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams, yeah, not Rob Grant.
It was his like B series.
Yeah.
The A series being
I loved it.
Hitchhikers.
Yeah,
it's good.
I absolutely loved it. It was just quirky and strange enough. I thought the main character, Dirk Gently, was going to grate on me because he was going for this overly English, jittery. I'm thinking, I've seen this too many times with Fantastic Beasts, Doctor Who.
He's a bit camp.
He's massively camp, but it works. And him co-starring with Elijah Wood is just insane because I'm just watching thinking, it's Elijah Wood being a weird, scrawny, odd kid type person.
Well, he's playing our way into it, I think, because he's just like regular guy who's, you know, got a bit of a shady past. He's a bit of a cunt, you know, really. It comes out
massively. But
he's flawed massively.
Yeah, he's got the shit job. He's got nothing going on, no prospects, and it's like, and then this weird thing happens to him, and it just builds from there. And I got to say though, one of my favourite characters in there is Bart, the universe assassin.
I'm a little bit in love with her.
She is amazing. I love her voice as well. It's just like...
she scrubs up well. She's the daughter of the actor who played Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had a little Google one night when I was watching it because I was like, she looks like like an animal in this show.
She's brilliant.
But I was like, I wonder if she scrubs up all right. I bet she does.
Yeah.
Because she does a bit in the show as well.
Yeah.
When she figures out what a shower is.
Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, sorry, go on.
I just like the way that the whole show is all about like sort of fate and determinism. Like the fact that he's a psychic detective, Dirk, but he needs Elijah as his assistant to actually figure out the case.
Yeah,
because he's a complete idiot.
I think there's a point in which they say to him, how do you solve cases? He goes, well, I don't look for clues. I just sort of bumble around and things happen.
Yeah.
You just think,
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. He's just psychic, so it's all just supposed to come to him.
Yeah.
I also like those guys who just turn up in the van and smash stuff up.
I was going to say the rowdy three, and they keep saying, but there are four of them.
Five of them.
I love them.
5 of them at one point. Yeah. Oh, it's fucking brilliant. I love it. It's just so random. It's just that sort of brilliant, zany sort of humour that you just don't see enough of.
I just love how it seems to be somehow they've managed to perfectly transport a British series into like an American setting. An American style setting, and it hasn't gone horribly wrong. I was just amazed, thinking this could have been set somewhere in like Croydon or something like that, you know, and you wouldn't have batted an eyelid. It was like,
yeah, I tell you what, it reminded me of a bit was that British show about the graphic novel. Oh, what was that called? They were going to make an American version of it. David Fincher was going to do it. It had the guy from... it had the guy who was in Humans. Okay, that's how I'll figure it out. So Humans... IMDb with me.
What was the premise of it? Do you remember?
Basically, there was a lot of bad stuff going on. Neil Maskell, he was in it, and he was also in Utopia. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, did you ever see that?
No, I don't think I did. I missed it.
Well, if you like Dirk Gently,
yeah,
check out Utopia, because that was a Channel 4 thing. They did 2 seasons of it, I think, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, cool.
And they left it in a way that it could have. That was all about, basically they were trying to. I don't really want to spoil it.
No.
Yeah,
well,
I won't.
Well, we'll check it out. I'll go back
it's
and
that
watch
kind of gritty, but basically, yeah, they're all after this graphic novel because it's got like the plans. You know, it's the MacGuffin. So I think you would dig that, and it's got like loads of crazy ultraviolence.
Nice.
In fact, I think it's the very first episode has an incident that involves an eye and a spoon.
Oh.
So I'll say no more.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention one more show.
Yeah, go for it.
Sneaky Pete recently started. Well, it all launched on Amazon. It was actually, I've said this to John. He goes, "I watched the pilot for that 2 years ago." I don't know if it was quite that long ago, but it was one of Amazon's, like when they did that pilot season when they were just trying out loads of different things. And yeah, Sneaky Pete was what came out of it, one of the ones that came out of it that went to full series. So this stars Giovanni Ribisi as this chap who has a friend in prison called Pete, and he's in trouble with a gangster played by Bryan Cranston, and so he has to go into hiding. And so because this guy Pete, his cellmate, has told him all about his family and the good old days he used to have on the farm, he goes and tracks them down and pretends to be Pete. So Giovanni Ribisi's character Marius, he's actually the guy, he's pretending to be Pete. He's like a con man, so there's a lot of that kind of MacGyver-y sort of stuff going on, little bit shades of Breaking Bad. I'm not just saying that because Cranston's in it, and he's properly in it as well, and also I think created and wrote this series. Character actress Margot Martindale, as she's referred to on BoJack Horseman, she's playing Pete's grandmother, and they own a bail bonds company, so it's all kind of like a bit heisty. I think that it's got the showrunners from Justified, so if Quarry I mentioned earlier might satisfy your Banshee itch, this one might kind of fulfill that Breaking Bad Justified shaped hole in your life, maybe a little bit. It's not like quite in the same league as Breaking Bad, but it's definitely a good watch. And the character Julia, who's played by Marion Ireland, looks freakishly like my sister. So that was kind of weird.
Sending a text. You've been on telly. It's like,
yeah, I keep meaning to send her a link, but she'll be like, I don't get it. I don't get it. This has been the Not Watching Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself, Marcus and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing Podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening Podcast. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, then please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya!